In this video, I will discuss to you Chapter 2, Weather Basics. Dito sa chapter na to, we will encounter on the different set of weather elements, climates, mga weather disturbances, or anything na nangyayari sa atmosphere natin. So first, let me define what is meteorology. Meteorology is the science that deals with the study of the atmosphere and its phenomena, especially with weather. So basically, it mainly focused dun sa mga process and phenomena in the atmosphere, especially as a means in forecasting the weather. So we will focus on the atmosphere. An atmosphere is a layer of gases surrounding the Earth that is held in place by Earth's gravity. So here is a figure. Makita natin yung layer of the atmosphere where it was divided into layers based on the temperature and also in the altitude na rin. So, the lowest part is the troposphere. Dito sa troposphere, this is the part where we live in, and it contains most of the weather like the rain, the snow, and others. And above it is the stratosphere, where it extends upwards from the tropopause to about around 50 kilometers, and it contains much of the ozone layer. Next one is the mesosphere, where the mesosphere reaches up to negative 90 degrees Celsius in temperature. And dito na rin sa layer na to, the shooting stars are burned here. Above the mesosphere is the thermosphere. So if you're familiar with aurora or the northern lights and southern lights, mostly ditong layer siya nag-occur. And above thermosphere is the exosphere. The exosphere contains mainly oxygen and hydrogen atoms that rarely collide. And it reaches up to around 500 to 600 kilometers above the troposphere. Next, we have weather. Weather is the condition of the atmosphere at a particular place over a short period of time in terms of the wind, precipitation, temperature, sunshine, visibility, cloud, pressure, and humidity. And climate is a state of the atmosphere over a long time period, such as over years, decades, centuries, or greater. So, kung sa weather kanina, it is just a short period of time. Dito naman sa climate, the state of the atmosphere over a long time period. So, nakikita natin yung difference this span of time. And climate is determined by rainfall and temperature, which are influenced by latitude, elevation, ocean currents, and affects where people live, how people live, and what they grow and eat. So we have the first set of weather elements: the sunshine, air pressure, and the wind. And the sun causes all our weather because it hits the earth and evenly. The contrast between Earth's hot parts and cold parts turns the atmosphere into a powerful engine, and this powerful engine keeps the cold and warm air moving, thus makes changes in air pressure. And those air pressure changes cause wind. Sunshine is associated with the brightness of the solar disk exceeding the background of diffuse skylight. The sun causes all our weather because it hits the earth unevenly. So it is better observed by our human eye with the appearance of shadows behind illuminated objects. Next is the air pressure. Air pressure is the weight of the atmosphere pressing down on Earth. And it is measured by a barometer in units called millibars or hectopascals. And air pressure changes with altitude. As the altitude increases, the pressure decreases. So, masasabi natin na they are inversely proportional. And also, as the altitude increases, the amount of oxygen available to breathe also decreases. So kung mapapansin nyo, if you're climbing mountains, high mountains, the higher you go, mas nahihirapan kang huminga. And meron din tinatawag na altitude sickness, in which you feel dizziness, headache, shortness of breath, and it is commonly na-encounter ng mga hikers or mountaineers. And dun sa Mount Everest, yung Mount Everest kasi natin is about, I think it's 8,800 meters above sea level. So, it is a very high na talaga, as in napakataas na. Kaya yung mga mountaineers dan na nag-a-attempt to reach the peak has a less chance to survive because of the altitude sickness na din, and then the oxygen and the amount of oxygen available to breathe. We have the variation of air pressure, and the variation of pressure during 24-hour period changes or happens twice a day. So the lowest peak happens at 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. and the highest peak, or the peak rather, happens at 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Next is the wind. Wind is the movement of air relative to the Earth's surface caused by horizontal and vertical differences in atmospheric pressure. The wind is the air that flows around pressure system and can be measured with wind speed and wind direction. Wind speed is the speed of the weather-related air movement from one place to the next in an outside environment, and it can be measured using anemometer. And wind direction is reported by the direction from which it originates. And typically na ginagamit dito is the wind vane to specify the direction of the wind. So we have different global wind patterns, also known as the general circulation. The surface winds of each hemisphere are divided into 3 wind belts or 3 patterns. So dito tayo sa upper part, although pareho lang naman yan. So on this part, the polar easterlies from 60 to 90 degrees latitude. And the next one is the prevailing westerlies from 30 to 60 degrees latitude. And the next one is the tropical easterlies from 0 to 30 degrees latitude, or the trade winds. Kaya tinawag yung Pilipinas na tropical country because we lie on the 0 to 30 degrees latitude. Next one, we have the second set of weather elements. Here we will discuss the cloud cover, humidity, temperature, precipitation, and visibility. So, cloud is a visible mass of liquid droplets or frozen crystals made of water or various chemicals suspended in the atmosphere. So, we have different kinds of clouds, as we studied when we were in elementary pa lang. And they are classified based on the height, or on their location or altitude. So, we have the stratus, or the low part, this one. Next is the alto, or in the middle part. And the last one is the cirrus, or the highest part. So, nakadepende yung clouds sa altitude niya. Kung makikita nyo, cirrus stratus, cirrus cumulus, meaning they are located on the highest part. Naka-reflect naman dito yung altitude niya above sea level. So, cloud cover, it influences air and surface temperatures. During the day, clouds reflect incoming sunlight, preventing a portion of this heat energy from reaching the Earth's surface, thereby reducing the day temperature. And cloudy nights are generally warmer than clear nights because cloud cover reduces the loss of terrestrial radiation to space. So, yung clear night, the air is trying to move up because no clouds are blocking them. Kaya mas malamig yung clear night compared sa cloudy night. Dito kasi sa cloudy night, the air try to escape, pero binablock siya ng cloud, kaya bumabalik rin siya. Kaya a cloudy night is warmer than the clear night. May nagtra-trap dun sa warm air para mag-escape. Next one is the humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. Indicates the likelihood of precipitation, dew or fog. It is measured with a psychrometer. So humidity is the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere. Yun lang naman yan. And the absolute humidity is the actual amount of water vapor per volume of air. And the relative humidity is the percentage of water vapor in the atmosphere compared with the maximum amount of water vapor that the atmosphere could contain at that temperature. Next is the temperature. Temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of a body or environment. It measures the average kinetic energy or speed of the molecules of the matter. So we have different ranges here or a temperature guide. Kung paano determine yung paggamit natin ng mga word hot, warm, cold, cool, extreme cold, and etc. So this is a temperature guide. Next is the precipitation. Precipitation, any product of condensation of atmospheric water vapor that falls to the Earth's surface. So any kind of weather conditions or something is falling from the sky. So it can be snow, rain, sleet, freezing rain, or anything na yun nga, falling from the sky. Here, snow, no melting has occurred, and in the sleet, snow melts and freezes before reaching the surface. In the freezing rain, snow melts and freezes on contact with the surface. And in the rain, snow melts and does not freeze. So, pinaka-common dito sa Philippines is yung rain. Next is the visibility. Visibility is the measure of the distance at which an object or light can be clearly discerned. It affects all forms of traffic such as road, sailing, aviation. Kung narinig niyo yung sinasabi ng pag malakas yung ulan or talagang foggy yung environment, zero visibility yung sinasabi nila, meaning wala silang maaninag, zero visibility. Next is the weather disturbances. Weather disturbances is the change in atmospheric conditions or patterns. So here in the Philippines, we experience tropical cyclones, low pressure area, monsoons, the ITCZ or the Intertropical Convergence Zone, and the tail end cold front. So first, we had the tropical cyclone o yung tinatawag nating bagyo, also called a typhoon or hurricane, with an intense circular storm that originates over warm tropical oceans, and it's characterized by low atmospheric pressure, high winds, and heavy rains. So, a tropical cyclone undergoes a constant metamorphosis from birth to maturity to decay. So, yung tropical cyclone, yung time na nabubuo pa lang siya, until sa time na matutunaw siya, it lasted about 6 days, approximately 6 days. And a tropical cyclone only exists or can be formed in the ocean, tsaka matutunaw lang rapidly on the land. So, this is the cross-section of the tropical cyclone or the anatomy of the tropical cyclone. Ito yung mata ng bagyo na sinasabi nila, and around dun sa eye is the eye wall. So, a tropical cyclone has a distinct diameter. yung range na nasasakupan niya. So, a tropical cyclone can be classified according to the strength and grouped according to the maximum sustained winds near the center. So, if a tropical cyclone is only 61 km per hour or less, it is called a tropical depression. Tropical storm naman, if it ranges 62 to 88 kilometers per hour, severe tropical storm 89 to 117 kilometers per hour, typhoon when the wind speed ranges from 118 to 220 kilometers per hour, and super typhoon when it reaches more than 220 kilometers per hour. So, yung pinaka-recent natin na super typhoon na tumama dito sa Philippines is the Super Typhoon Rory, or with the international name na Goni, that has 225 kilometers per hour. And this classification was made or was revised last May 2015 after a super typhoon named Yolanda, or the super typhoon Haiyan, hit the Philippines with I think more or less 300 kilometers per hour. After that, din nila ni-revise, kaya nagkaroon ng signal number 5. Or the low pressure area is characterized by clouds of precipitation caused by rising air. Dito sa low pressure area, it is a region where the air pressure is lower than that of the surrounding location. So, this is the comparison of the low pressure and then the high pressure. Next one is the monsoon. In monsoons, major wind systems that seasonally reverse its direction and caused by difference between annual temperature trends over land and sea. Monsoons blow from cold toward warm regions, from sea toward land during summer in northern hemisphere, and from land towards sea during winter in northern hemisphere. So we have two kinds of monsoon. Here in the Philippines, the southwest monsoon, o tinatawag nilang habagat, na na-experience natin between June to September. And yung wind nito is warm and moist. And it is originated in Indian Ocean, or the Australian continent. Patungo siya southwest, yung direction niya. So, yung na-experience dito na rains are moderate to heavy rains lang along western sections. But it can cause torrential rains if enhanced by tropical cyclone or low pressure system. And next one is the northeast monsoon, or yung hanging amihan na tinatawag, in which we experience during November to March. Cold and relatively dry lang yung wind niya, and it originates mainland China or Siberia, mainland China or Siberia, in the direction from the northeast. And it is the rain experienced here is likely to moderate to sometimes heavy rains along eastern section. Next is the Intertropical Convergence Zone, o yung tinatawag nilang ITCZ. Sorry, it is ITCZ. ITCZ is the area encircling the Earth near the equator, where the northeast and the southeast trade winds come together. Appears as a band of clouds, usually thunderstorms, that circle the globe near the equator. Responsible for the wet and dry seasons in the tropics and mostly cloudy skies with strong thunderstorms and lightning. So, sailors called it doldrums or calms because it is a monotonous or a windless weather. Monotonous or windless weather lang siya. Okay. Next is the easterly wave or tropical wave. This is an elongated area of relatively low air pressure, oriented north to south and moves from east to west across the tropics, causing areas of cloudiness and thunderstorms. Next is the tail end of cold front. Tail end of cold front produces cool northeasterly winds with precipitation across eastern Philippines, and it occurs normally between November and April. So, tail end of cold front is just the interaction of cold air and warm air. Cold front is a transition zone where a cool air mass is replacing a warmer air mass. Yun nga yung nasabi ko kanina. And it normally occurs at temperate and subtropical area. Its tail end occasionally extends along the eastern sections of the country. Transition lang to ng cool air mass into the warmer air mass. Next is the sea breeze or the onshore breeze. Wind from the sea that develops over land near the coast during daytime, formed by increasing temperature differences between land and area, and forces cooler air from a high-pressure area over the sea to move to a low-pressure area inland. So, ganito lang yung process niya. So, as the sun rises, mas nauunang umiinit yung land kaysa dun sa tubig dagat. And the air above the land becomes also warm. So, yung hangin above the land, umiinit din siya. And a warm air is less dense, kaya mas mataas. Also, the air above the water is cooler. Mas malamig yung hangin dito or air dito kasi mas malamig yung tubig dito compared, mas malamig yung temperature dito compared dito sa land. So, cooler air is denser. Mas mababa yung air above the water surface comparing to the air above the land surface. And through the process of convection current, nagsisirculate lang yung warm air natin patungo dito. And yung cooler air naman natin tinutulak papunta dito. Yan, patuloy lang yung process niya. Tuloy-tuloy lang yung process niya. Kaya nagkaroon ng sea breeze. Unlike the land breeze or the offshore breeze, at night, the land cools off faster than the ocean due to differences in their heat capacity. The pressure over the water will become lower than that of the land, setting up a land breeze. So, balik-balik-taran lang. So, tuwing gabi, mas nauuna naman lumalamig yung land natin compared dito sa tubig. So, mas mainit na ditong part na to, so mas mataas na yung air natin kasi warm air na rin siya. And dito, mas malamig yung air kaya mas denser siya. Kaya pabaliktad naman yung circulation niya through the process of convection. So, ito yung circulation ng land breeze. And sa sea breeze naman, babaliktad siya. So, sea breeze occurs at daytime and land breeze at nighttime. Next is the thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is a type of weather condition derived from a matured vertical cloud known as cumulonimbus. So, a thunderstorm also has a life cycle. First is the towering cumulus stage. The cumulus clouds begins to grow vertically, perhaps to a height of 6 kilometers. And during the mature stage, the storm has considerable depth, often reaching 12 to 18 kilometers. This is the most dangerous stage when large hail damaging dissipating stage. And the last one is the final stage where the downdraft cuts off the updraft. Light rain and weak outflow winds and may remain for a while during this stage before leaving behind just a remnant unbuilt up. So, a thunderstorm is itong epekto ng cumulonimbus cloud, isang klase ng makapal at maitim na ulap that can cause hail or pag-ulan ng yelo, pagkidlat, but it is not considered a wide range kasi yung range lang ng thunderstorm is 5 kilometer range lang yung affected area niya. So the effects of thunderstorm are the squall, thunder, lightning, localized flooding, tornado, water spouts, small hail, and moderate to severe rains that last 30 minutes to 2 hours. Yung squall is a sudden wind increase up to 8 meters per second. And then yung tornado naman, it is a small whirlwind. Iba yung tornado sa tornado because yung tornado, it is not connected to cloud base or any rotating wall cloud, unlike yung tornado na talagang nakakonect siya sa cloud. And water spouts is a whirling column of air and water mist. And the small hail is the translucent ice particles. Next is the lightning. Lightning is a giant spark of electricity in the atmosphere between clouds, air, or the ground. In the early stages of development, air acts as an insulator between the positive and negative charges in the cloud and between the cloud and the ground. So lightning, it is a spark of electricity na nangyayari sa atmosphere natin. And a thunder naman is the sound caused by a lightning discharge. Diba, tinatanong nila, ano ba yung mas nauna, it is the lightning or the thunder? Mas nauuna po yung lightning. Kasi a thunder, yun na lang yung sound na maririnig natin after a lightning. Because light is faster than sound. Diba? So, how can we determine yung distance natin from the lightning? So, here's a small trivia. So, if nakakita kayo ng lightning, you can determine how far you are from it. For example, kumidlat, from the time na nag-start yung kidlat up to the time na narinig mo yung thunder or yung kulog, yung span of time between the two, you can divide it into 5 seconds. Madedetermine mo na kung gaano kalayo dun sa lightning in terms of mile. And then, kung gusto mo naman in kilometers, we'll just divide the time span divided by into 3. So, bakit 5 or 3 yung ginamit ko? Because sound travels 5 seconds in every mile or 3 seconds in every kilometers. So, I repeat, kung nakakita ka ng lightning, magbilang ka lang in terms of seconds until marinig mo yung thunder. And then, you divide it by 5 if you want it in miles, or divide it by 3 para makuha mo siya in kilometers. Madedetermine mo na how far you are from the lightning.